The island of Sumatra is famous for its beaches with dark sand. Lake Toba, with its blue water, is located inside the crater of a dormant volcano. On the island, you can visit a crocodile farm or watch the lives of orangutans in the jungle.
Hello and thanks for joining us for the Midday News. Nawab MP Theo Pelgan has made a commitment to upgrade the road at Speedway outside Ley City. He visited the road on Wednesday, November 8, with the Nawab District Technical Team, AHI LLG President Malcolm Kallo, and community representatives Rosemary Wawo and landowner Nangalau Agei. He assured the Ward 14 community at Ahi Urban that the road upgrade will begin immediately from Sigirap Market to Kunai Junction. An estimated 5,000 people plus from all over Papua New Guinea reside in the area, according to the local Law and Order Committee. Pelgan said funding allocation will be done to allow work to begin immediately. Kenya Kairi, a villager from Kayavaria village along the Purari in Gulf province, has been serving his people for 15 years as a ward councillor. Kairi's village is one of the 15 being assisted with the relief supplies from the Papua LNG project.
For over 2 weeks, the Papua LNG project have been assisting villages within their areas of influence with flood relief items such as food, medical supplies, and essentials such as mosquito nets and water purification tablets. From Kaivaria village, Kenya Kairi recalls his village's experience during the flood.
The flood destroyed all the garden foods, cow, green vegetables, all the bananas and the cassava, all the garden foods were destroyed. And it took about 6 months to recover. Yeah. So now we'll struggle very hard to feed our children and the families.
Kairi says the villagers have struggled to ensure there is food to eat.
So our children and fathers, mothers, we used to pedal around the bush to look for food to eat. But there is no food. We struggle very hard.
Kairi says the village is happy as the relief supplies provided by the Papua LNG project will ensure they have meals for at least 3 weeks. Maricela Kelleton, TV1 News.
Newly sworn in Madang Provincial Police Commander, Senior Inspector Robert Baim, vows to bring back the Madang he once knew when growing up, stating that combating law and order in Madang is a big challenge. He calls it a disease-eating up society and emphasized working on Madang town before moving into other districts. The new PPC also stated that police alone cannot bring change and needs a collective approach that includes stakeholders from the top and right down to the community level. He is willing to work with everyone and make it everyone's business in tackling lawlessness in the province. Today, as he takes office, the first lot of work will be random checks for weapons by police on footbeat patrol. PPC Baim said offenders will be locked up without bail as these weapons promote violence. A warning has been issued to those drinking alcohol in public, including petty criminals. The PPC said he will work with the provincial administrator to put resources together to curb the escalating crime rate. In regional news, calls for peace have been growing around the world. Over the weekend, tens of thousands of people attend events across Australia, many wanting an end to the fighting. The foreign minister is urging Israel to comply with international law, but her comments have rather angered two Australian Jewish organizations.
The debate around a ceasefire has reached the streets of Australia.
We do not stop until ceasefire. We do not stop until Palestinian and Jewish life are equal.
There can be no ceasefire until every hostage has been released.
Around 1,000 people showed up at a vigil for the victims of the Hamas October 7 attack.
We're here just to show our solidarity to Israel, to the Jewish community, and this anti-Semitism also has to stop.
I don't think many of us envisaged that so much virulent anti-Semitism was just below the surface.
But the tens of thousands at the pro-Palestinian rallies in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane say it's not about that.
There's not just Muslims here today. There are Muslims, there are Christians, there are Jews for Palestine. Every single person has come here today in pursuit of justice. This has never been about the Jewish people. This has always been about occupation.
Many in the crowd here have criticized the Australian government for not calling for a ceasefire. But today, Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong said that Australia wants to work towards a ceasefire and urged Israel to comply with international law.
We all want to take the next steps towards a ceasefire, but it cannot be one-sided. Hamas still holds hostages. Hamas is still attacking Israel. The international humanitarian law does require the protection of hospitals, of patients and of medical staff. And we do call on Israel to cease the attacking of hospitals.
Two Australian Jewish organizations say they are highly concerned about the minister's comments. They argue, under Article 19 of the Geneva Convention, hospitals lose their protection if they are used for military purposes. People at the pro-Palestinian rally were clear about what they think of the Australian government's response so far.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's like totally shocking to me.
It's really embarrassing. It's very disappointing. And we really need them to step up and actually call out genocide.
A message likely to be repeated as long as the war continues to rage.
The president of Kiribati has played down the chances of the country striking a treaty with Australia, similar to the landmark pact which Prime Minister Anthony Albanese signed last week with Tuvalu's Prime Minister Kausea Natano. The Falepili Union, inked by Mr. Albanese and Mr. Natano at the end of the Pacific Islands Forum Leaders meeting in Rarotonga, will open a pathway to Australian residency for Tuvalu's citizens threatened by rising seas, while giving Australia effective veto power over any new security agreements struck by the Pacific Island nation. There had already been speculations that Kiribati and Nauru, two other low-lying Pacific countries, which don't already have compatible agreements with other countries, might strike similar agreements with Australia in the future. IT systems at one of Australia's largest port operators are offline as it deals with serious cyber attack. DP World Australia was forced to stop its operations at 4 Australian freight terminals on Friday after the breach was first identified. The federal government says it's working closely with the company to protect Australia's interests.
Usually a hive of activity.
DP World Australia is the biggest stevedoring company in Australia.
DP World Australia's been forced to suspend landside operations at its terminals as it grapples with a significant cyber attack.
Incidents like this just highlight how dependent we are upon the cyber realm.
First detected on Friday, the full extent of the breach is still unknown. Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill today describing it as serious and ongoing, while adding, This incident is a reminder of the serious risk that cyber attacks pose to our country and to vital infrastructure we all rely on.
Ports are critical infrastructure and have been designated so since 2018.
DP World is responsible for 40% of goods flowing in and out of the country, operating 4 shipping container terminals in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Fremantle. Today, the company said it's working closely with the government and private sector to identify and retrieve sensitive inbound freight, and its teams are testing key systems crucial for the resumption of normal operations. Australia's National Cyber Security Coordinator, Air Marshal Darren Goldie, is leading the government's response and today convened a meeting of key players to minimise the impact on supply chains.
It's too early to tell who's behind this, but in most cases it's a cyber criminal gang looking to steal and make money by extorting the victim company.
The Australian Federal Police has launched an investigation into the cyber attack. DP World is looking into what data was accessed and if any personal information was stolen. The company has told the government that disruptions to its terminal operations will likely continue for a number of days.
In sports, the 7th Simon Sear Super 9s Rugby League tournament is set to kick off in December in Goroka and Kainantu in Eastern Highlands Province. A date for the tournament is yet to be confirmed. Tournament director Benji Filele said the competition will be divided into 2 Eastern Zone and Western Zone. Eastern Zone comprises teams from Obura Wonenara, Kainantu, Okapa and Hanganofi. Eastern Zone matches will be played in Kainantu. Western Zone comprises teams from Goroka, Daulo, Ungaibena and Lufa. Matches will be played in Goroka. The top 4 teams from the zones will advance to the finals at the National Sports Institute in Goroka. The competition is an initiative of Bintango Trading Limited, purposely to make selection for Bintango Goroka Lahanis squad for the 2024 Digicel ExxonMobil Cup season. Samoa's men and Fiji women have secured their tickets to the Olympic Games Paris 2024 at the Oceania Rugby Sevens Championship 2023 in Brisbane. Samoa will make Olympic debut in France next year after they capped a supremely impressive weekend with a 24-0 defeat of Papua New Guinea in the men's Olympic final on Sunday. Earlier at Ballymore Stadium, Fijiana Sevens made show of their place in Paris with a 54-0 win in the women's Olympic final also against Papua New Guinea. Neither Samoa nor Fijiana could turn their qualification success into a title triumph. However, as the All Black Sevens and Australia won the respective overall championship finals. The Olympic dreams continues for Australia men and women, as well as Tonga men and Samoa women, who will compete in the final Olympic qualification tournament in 2024, having finished the Oceania Rugby Sevens Championship as the 2nd and 3rd highest-ranked non-qualified nations in each tournament. The Seoul 2023 Pacific Games marks a historic first implementing quick response code accreditation passes for the Pacific Games. The QR code scanning serves as an efficient means to promptly communicate crucial announcements, functioning as the electronic notice board for the Games. The electronic notice board serves as a crucial platform during Games time to athletes, team officials, game organizing committee, staff, and the workforce team. The QR code scan is affixed to the reserve side of all accreditation cards or identification cards. That's all for now. Do join us this evening at 6 for the main news. Bye now.